Hi, everybody, and welcome back to the Reality Roundup. I'm Mariama. That's Maddie. Today, we're going to be talking about the reunion episode of Love is Blind. Please, as always, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe and share. We did try to be diligent and get the reunion episode filmed and out in a more timely fashion, but technology had other plans for us. So we watched and like live reacted to the reunion together, and then I failed to record our or I interfered with the recording of our face cams, and so I lost the footage, and basically all you had was like a Netflix episode in our sound. So we're re-recording it in our normal format. We hope it works.
Yes.
How are you doing, Maddie?
I'm doing just fine. I did, and for the first time in podcast history, I did watch an episode of something twice. And I feel pretty much exactly the same way about the reunion as I did the first time around.
I think I think I've changed on something. I mean, not like entirely. Well, no. Yes, I think I have changed. I've taken more extreme and less extreme views on some things, but that's largely because of all of the information that I've been made privy to via the internet about some of the cast members since since we watched the reunion on Thursday.
Oh gosh, more information?
Yeah, I mean it's not bad. It's like it's just stuff that just recontextualizes some of the behavior that we saw. So I'll bring it up as we get to them.
Okay,
Where do you
good,
want
thank
to
you.
start?
Well, I mean, normally we do it couple by couple, and even though people are broken up, we might as well do it couple by couple again.
Okay, sure. Um, I mean Vanessa and Nick started with Garrett and Taylor, right? So
Yeah.
let's start there. Garrett and Taylor, what are your thoughts?
Across the whole of the reunion?
Yeah.
So I actually, no, I changed. I take back what I said earlier about my opinion not changing. I was actually more annoyed with Garrett
Mm-hmm.
the second watch. Because I just felt like he interjected in moments like that had nothing to do well, that I perceived to have nothing to do with them.
Mm-hmm.
I hated his jacket. I know that doesn't matter, but I really did. But I don't know, they just seem like happy and fine. Um I'm still a little bit about the fact that they tried San Diego, but now are back home in Fredericks or have been back home in Fredericksburg for a while, it sounds like. But and they're looking to move to DC. I was like, I still feel like I want more information about that, but I obviously don't need more information about that. I want to know why it didn't work in San Diego. Um, if it was just distance or not. But other than that, I feel like in they are center stage of the reunion, like pretty much absolutely the least out of everyone.
Yeah, I mean we get the least amount from them at
Yeah,
the reunion proper. I mean, proper at the reunion, but they had the least drama of the season, right? Like
yeah, very true.
they're the only people that didn't have drama on the season and haven't had like stuff surfacing about them weekly since with the airing of the show.
Ugh, yeah.
Um, I mean, my thoughts on Garrett were I've Garrett is I'm very indifferent to Garrett
Hmm.
throughout the entire show, but like they made Vanessa and made a lot about his like supposed glow up. I don't see much of a glow up. I just see a boy with long hair, like longer hair. Like the clothes are kind of cooler, but are they really like
First of all, I
like
don't like the jacket.
um I mean I'm talking about even like the pictures of him that have come out on the internet where he is dressing quite differently than what he did on the show. I don't think it's much of a glow up. He grew his hair out a little bit. Like let's calm down. Like Garrett is
The
not.
mustache was his best look.
It was better than this, but like, who cares? Um, yeah. So I mean, I'm very skeptical about and I'm very skeptical about like them not moving because I just feel like Garrett again may have misrepresented like his readiness to
Mm-hmm.
move. Um, and I think, I mean, I can't pretend to care now.
That's completely fine. I mean, we have other in Garrett fashion, we have bigger fish to fry.
Well, we did talk to Taylor's parents who were there supporting her at the reunion. It was real cute.
Hong from Hong Kong.
Um, yes, and Mr. Cross, I don't even know his name. What's his name? Bob? That was a guess.
Tim? No, we have a
No.
Tim. Ooh,
Um,
I don't know. Mr.
well,
Cross.
Taylor's parents were there. We talked to them for a little bit. I don't remember much of what happened with them, truthfully, because again, Garrett bores me. They didn't have much going on. It's cute that I didn't expect that they wouldn't be together. They look fine. They look like a nice happy
Yeah.
couple.
Taylor looked so gorgeous.
After that, we get to Tyler and Ashley. Talk to
Yeah. And I finally reviewed some of the TikToks that you sent me because obviously I didn't want to know anything in advance. And including the one with Bree's her name?
Bry.
Bry, the mother of the children.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and she seems like incredibly sincere about the fact that like she knew he was going on the show. She wished him luck. She just didn't think that he would essentially disown his children in this process. And then I think she said that she had the kids haven't seen him since September of 23.
The month before he went on the show, they started filming
Yeah.
in October.
And honestly, it just seeing her video made me even more disgusted about this whole process. And I think I'm my favorability rating of Ashley is dropping, which of course is not fair to blame
Yeah.
a woman for man's negative behaviors,
No,
but
I think Ashley is culpable. I think this is
okay.
a rare exception because
Mm,
I watched the entire season kind of going, I don't like not giving too much to Ashley because I was never quite sure how much she knew.
period.
I was under the impression that the first time she was hearing about his kids was when they had that conversation, and then the first and probably the first time that she was learning about the situation surrounding his kids would be when the internet was breaking the news. So I was like, I don't want to
Yeah.
give her too much because this is Tyler's mess.
Hmm.
So I went into the reunion like really hoping to know what Ashley knows, and her bright idea, her big, this was so icky. Like their big like plan or whatever was that they were gonna come and say that she knew everything the whole time, um, which I don't believe. Like
I
I
don't
think
either.
actually I do know this because I know she gave an interview and she talks about how she like she 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 continues to defend Tyler.
Mm,
And she continues to talk about how the internet is putting these kids in this position, but truthfully, I think it's Tyler. She talks
yes.
about how when she got her phone back, after they got back from the honeymoon, she did research on him, and she's an internet sleuth, and the FBI should hire her, et cetera. All the things that women usually say.
Yeah.
But she never found the Instagram photos. The first time she saw the photos with the pajamas and the pumpkin patches and all that stuff was when we saw them. But she maintains like Tyler's a really good guy. He was just helping out a friend, and he got in over his head. And his only issue here is that he was just too nice and couldn't set a boundary. That's all fine and dandy. Perhaps Tyler didn't mean
Yes.
to like father three children. He just is a people pleaser and kept saying yes in every way. But Tyler fathered his twin girls naturally with Bry. There was no
Yeah.
plan of surrogacy. He's on paperwork. He has parental rights. He's in court
Yeah.
for there's all this other stuff going on, and he hasn't seen his children in over a year. Like, and I feel like nobody is holding her to enough account over of the interviews of hers that I've seen, whether it's on a reunion or otherwise, to enough
Agreed.
account to be like, are you really cool being laid up with a man who's denying his children and
Yes.
refusing to see his kids?
And are you I hate to say it, but like, are you part of that? Like, are you like, I don't want these children in my life. You can have me or you can have these
Yeah.
children, but not both, which I think would be horrible.
Mm-hmm. Totally soured on Ashley. Like, ab-
Absolutely.
just absolute horrendous bird behavior. Can't believe it.
Top tier bird behavior.
I had
Absolutely.
hope. I mean, I had hope. I had tons of hope for her, and it seems that she's one of them ones that she's gonna stick beside him. Unfortunately, no matter how.
Yeah. And create a permission structure for him to continue his negative behaviors.
Yeah, yeah.
What a damn shame.
I what I wanted to see honestly is why didn't they ask him? Like, there are women coming around saying Tyler owed him money. Like, why didn't we get
Yes.
these questions? This is why I like also just hate having the alumni there and being like talked to. I don't need checkups on these people's lives. They all have Instagram. They're all trying to be influencers. They're posting about it constantly. Like, just who are these ladies? Do you owe people money? Did you get evicted right before you went on the show?
How
Like,
many times have you been evicted,
we
apparently?
need that information. Do you want to move on?
My question for you is, and I can't remember if we've talked about this before, but do you think Netflix knew?
I think so.
Yeah.
I think so. I think they didn't, like, I don't think they knew that it would become this, right? Um
Oh, I
meaning
see. Yes.
meaning that like the audience would get so much information. The baby mom would come out, the baby mom's mom would come out, the baby mom's ex-wife would come out. Like, all of these people have now hours of content, like, you know.
Yeah, or that he would ignore the children because I guess in terms of the timeline,
Yeah, like
when
the
he
issue
goes,
isn't that he has kids. Like, for me,
yes,
the issue isn't that he has kids. If Ashley is fine being married to a man that has kids from a previous relationship, whatever, that's her prerogative. The issue is that he lied to her about it,
yes,
clearly, and then had her complicit in constructing an additional lie for the audience for some reason or another, and that he's now neglecting his children or
yeah,
refusing to see his kids.
which is absolutely neglect. I mean, he wouldn't even be our first single parent, right? Like um, we've had other single parents before, so it wouldn't even be a
Mm-hmm.
rarity for the show. And so for him to do all of this, I guess in the space between the filming of the show and the release of the show
Yeah.
is just truly awful. And again, those poor children, right? Like they, as of I think, I guess as of right now, they're too young to really be like aware of what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
But the internet is forever. And so at some point in time, they will become aware of this. And that's just really, really horrible for them to be experiencing.
Absolutely agree. Do you want to move on? Next,
Yes, ma'am.
next we spoke to Ramses and Marissa. Um, what's your tea here? What's your thoughts? What are your thoughts?
My thoughts haven't changed that much. I mean, I think I felt less anger toward Ramses in the second watch. And actually a little bit more anger towards Marissa, not in the context of the two of them, but in the context of Nick and Hannah. Um,
Yeah,
and like it was just sad to see Marissa still as sad as she is. I could tell that Ramses the whole the whole reunion, regardless of whether or not it was about them, was seemed to be very uncomfortable
yeah,
the whole entire time.
yeah,
And then her mother, like you said before, had like a very good um not explanation, but like communication around what it
yeah.
was like to see her daughter experience this. Um, it remains heartbreaking. I am glad that they're not together. I don't think that it would have worked long term and would have led to more problems, but it seems to remain very heartbreaking for Marissa.
My take is I see why Ramses left Marissa. I wasn't saying this when we were watching it together because I didn't feel this way then, but
Yeah.
seeing what's come out from Marissa, and we'll get there. Listen, maybe he was correct. Maybe her energy was draining. I can totally see it now.
I think he was always correct about that. I think he kind of frames it as like draining for himself,
Yeah,
but
that's what I mean. She would drain
yeah.
me too. She drained me, and I'm only watching her through the phone screen. I'm drained. As of today, I am drained by Marissa.
Completely fair. Completely fair.
I'm like, I think Ramses does a poor job in talking about this, and I think he does a poor job in talking throughout the entire season.
Hmm.
I had a thought about it earlier today that I wish I had written down, but he doesn't come off as good, and I will say that part of that too is in the edit. Oh, and I want to say this. Speaking of the edit, Marissa did another interview. Marissa's been everywhere. Marissa did an
Ugh.
interview, and in that interview, I forgot who it was with. She gives more clarity around the contraceptive conversation,
Oh,
which I think was one of their biggest. One of, I mean, people hate Ramses for a lot of reasons, but that was one of the big ones from the audience that I saw
I feel like
online.
it's the big one, apparently.
Um, and she gives more context. She says that she blames the edit entirely. She says that the edit really does
Oh,
make him look like he was really indifferent to her health concerns about birth control, whatever, and that just wasn't the case. She said that they had a very, very long conversation that night on the couch about it. They discussed a bunch of alternatives, including a vasectomy,
oh my goodness.
apparently. And they did choose one that worked for them. I don't think she said which one, but she said like it really wasn't like a quick little 15 minutes and him just being like, I'm not putting on a condom. Like they had a
Yeah.
really I think what she said specifically was that they had a really complex and nuanced conversation about it, and they went through a bunch of different options, and she lists some of those
Mm.
options. And then they settled on one, which is aligned with what he says on the reunion. And
Yeah.
she was like, yeah, like that just made him look like really, really bad, and it just was never that. That's why they were, because for us on the edit, it seems like they have a conversation and they move on, and then for the next two episodes, like leading to their breakup, it just kind
Yeah.
of seems like they're not on the same page sexually. I thought that's why they broke up. I was like, I was
Yes,
like
very
they,
true.
I was like they're probably not. He's probably not able to reconcile like his sexual desires or whatever with what she's able to give.
Hmm.
And he wants out, and he's grasping at straws. But it seems like that wasn't as big of an issue in their relationship as
Yeah.
the show may have highlighted it to be. I just
I
think
still have
I
questions for Lodalis, but that's fine.
Yeah. I just no, like, and that's the thing. Like, I think he doesn't want to be with her for whatever reason. Personality. Sometimes it just doesn't work. Like, that's the thing. Like,
Yeah.
if this wasn't Love is Blind, and I feel like if you're coming on Love is Blind, you got to get to the altar. But if this wasn't Love is Blind, if these were two people who met out in the street, they would meet, spend a week together like they did in Mexico or whatever,
Mm.
make, world twirling love, and then realize that they aren't very compatible. He would leave, and it just wouldn't be as big of a deal. It's because that they had the commitment of marriage
Yes.
that we are all kind of like, oh my god, he did something crazy. But the truth is, he's only known that girl for 3 weeks. Like, people walk away from
Yeah.
3 4 week long relationships all the time, and it's not like at that point, that's
Yeah.
not even like, in most people would go, that's not even like a real relationship.
No, it's the I think Garrett says in the wedding episode like 42 days or something
Yeah.
like that in total.
I think Ramses came off bad. Like, I've said this the whole season. Like, the way he communicates, like, his ideas are like correct. I think this is editing too. Like, I think his aesthetic,
Mm-hmm.
his sort of like his disposition, he's being edited as this unserious like F boy, when I don't really think that he has that much unseriousness or F boy about him. He's just eclectic, and he's being like, the production team knows what they're doing, and they know
Yes,
what they're doing. But
absolutely.
like, his ideals, like his thoughts aren't wrong. His communication is terrible. What
Yes.
and it's something that I've learned with age. Like, you can be entirely correct, but the, when you're communicating with people, like, you have to be sure what your intentions are. If you're planning to maintain a relationship with the person that you're talking to, right? It doesn't matter how right you are. You can be right and alienate the other person
Like
emotionally.
Hannah.
Yeah, like, you can be correct and alienate the other person emotionally. And I think they effed up, because for me, I don't tend to get like overly worked up by like I don't tend to be like emotionally like very attached to like what's happening on the screen. So for
Mm.
somebody like me, when I'm watching this, there's just enough in everything that Ramses is saying for me to go, oh, I think I know what you're trying to communicate. You're just doing a bad job, like,
Yes,
all the
yes.
time. And I think for like another population of people, that when you look at someone like Ramses, he looks like, the guy who swiped right on you on Tinder or something, and then like and then like did you dirty and stole $5 out of your purse after your one night stand. You're like, I knew it. Like, you're waiting for him to like let you
$5 is
down. I'm
wild.
just joking, but you're like waiting for him to let you down. And I don't think there's like, I think he's much more sincere in his like
Mm.
in his intentions. It's just that his words are, he's fake deep. Like, that's really it, and that's harmful.
Yes, yes, I think that's a perfect summation of Ramses is that he's fake deep and that he doesn't I don't think, and this for me goes all the way back to kind of not the military conversation. Actually, no, for me this goes back all the way to the pods where they were, I think he was talking to Marissa in this, where they were talking about the division of labor in the household. And he was like, well, yeah, I believe in helping out. And I was just like, ooh, like not like, gotcha. But like I was like, ooh, like we're saying that we're like really woke for lack of a better term in this way, but we're like still not maybe all the way there with like the praxis
So
of
this
that.
is where I'll push back because I think I pushed back on this when we first filmed on something else that you said, where I think like we put a lot into like people communicating in like the academic like the pseudo academic, but really like the internet speak of things. Because from everything we saw of Ramsey, he was helping out, right? Like he was carrying, it seemed like with Marissa and
Hmm.
stuff that she said after the fact on like her own TikTok, that he was carrying his weight domestically. He was cooking her dinner, he was making her multiple meals,
Hard noodles.
right? Like cleaning up after both of them, et cetera, et cetera. It seemed like he was doing that stuff.
Hmm.
I saw that take as well too online, where someone was like, "Yeah, I believe in helping. I'll help." I think it was about kids. He said the same thing. I'll help out for sure. Like I'm definitely going to help out with the kids. And people held him to that because he didn't say I believe in the division of like equalizing the division of labor and
Yeah.
the invisible task and taking on the mental load because he didn't use all of the buzzwords
Yeah.
that our super feminist friends tell us in their think pieces. I think people judge that. Like, and this is what I mean about Ramses is that like he knows what he needs to say, he knows what he needs to do, he knows what the progressive standpoint is, and
Yeah.
he might even be aligned with it, but he doesn't always communicate it well, and
Mm.
it's enough. Like his actions like mostly match his like um so-called progressive
Yeah.
like politics, but his words are like
Eh.
yeah, right? Like
Yeah.
his words are like, man, because
Yeah.
again, from the show, from what she said, like he was doing that stuff. He wasn't the man that was like, I'm home now. Like he wasn't as unaligned. That like that's a criticism that he's gotten is that like he's left this politically, but he's probably not walking the walk because he didn't want to put on a condom, which we know is a lie from the edit.
Yes.
And he probably wasn't like doing this, that, and the third. But it just seems like from what Marissa, that's why she's still stuck on that man a year later. But it seems like from what
Badly.
Marissa is saying, he was walking that leftist progressive walk. He was helping out in the home, right? If
Yeah.
you want to call it helping out, maybe that's not like the right language, but he was participating in his fair share of the
Hmm.
domestic task and ensuring that he wasn't offloading all of the mental load onto the woman and assigning her the entirety of the second shift. Right? He didn't
Yeah.
say it that way, but like he was doing that in
I
practice.
wouldn't even say it that long. My God,
But
you used every word.
that's what people expect to hear, and that's why I think sometimes
That's fair.
we get caught up in like codifying like the codified language of like progressivism too
Yeah.
much. I don't know. He's a bit hard to understand. He's a bit of an enigma. Um, I
I
think
also just think we don't get enough from him. Like,
yeah,
or not,
we don't
like, I think you said this before that we
we
don't, and
don't
I
get
don't think
enough of
I,
his personality. Like seriously,
yes. And we don't get to see him really interact with any of his own people either, right? Like,
yeah.
we
Oh, that's
only see
something
him
I
in
want to
this.
talk about. That I think is weird. If they have that footage, excuse me,
Mhm.
and they didn't upload it, they've done the audience a huge disservice. Like if
Do
she
you
met
think
his,
that they don't have it? What am I trying to say? Do you think
I
that
think they
like
did.
they met?
I don't know about the parents because they were talking still pretty late about her meeting. No, did she say I gave your mom flowers or I'm going to? She spoke about it in future tense. I think that she hadn't met his mother yet.
Like in the gift conversation?
Yeah, in
I
episode
think
11 when they
so.
were on the boat.
Hmm.
But I'm certain like this is just me like from like no like watching a bunch of reality TV, knowing how this stuff is produced and even knowing how sort of the timeline works for Love Is Blind. I'm certain that the day that they met Marissa's friends, they either met his friends with the day before or after,
Mm.
and we see them for several days after that before they break up. Like
Well,
by the
what's
time, like I think Marissa most certainly met his friends. Maybe his mom doesn't live in DC or something. Sometimes that's a challenge. Usually, if we don't see people meet parents, is like they don't live locally and they're just coming for the wedding. They're not going to
Fair
come.
enough, but I will say that maybe Taylor had pushed for this. We don't know, but like we do see Taylor take Garrett all the way to San Diego to meet additional
But
people.
if you notice between Taylor and Garrett, all of that was self-shot footage. Production didn't go with them.
Oh, very true.
Yeah.
Very true.
So
Yes.
Taylor and Garrett went to San Diego, but Netflix didn't send a production team with right to go film that. So it
Yeah.
seems like, maybe for Taylor it was something important and then Netflix was able to kind of give her a workaround, but it's like you got to film it on your own, which is what I
Yeah.
said that
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
like in it doesn't matter, but like I know I will point that out. Like
Yeah.
that wasn't professionally shot footage. That was,
And if that was, oh my gosh,
GoPro footage.
if it might be, but if that's true, then I think that that doubles down on what you said about like, um, chances are that they did meet, right? Like if Netflix was willing or able to have this workaround where Taylor and Garrett self shot,
I
then
think she
what?
definitely like I think I can't be sure about the mom because the last conversation we see about them having it is
I think
that
that's nebulous.
I think she definitely met his friends. I think it wasn't in because nothing came of it. Like her like her he met her friends, it was contentious, so we saw it. Um
Yes.
like we didn't see Ashley and Tyler meet each other's friends, but we saw the parents, right? We didn't even see Ashley meet Tyler's parents. We only saw
Oh my
one
God.
one
Yeah.
of those meetings.
We've said this before, but I feel like this season was weirdly formed. Like weird, not weirdly formed, but like
This
the
happens every season. Not as like I mean it was a huge cast. I think that's part of it too. Um
oh yeah,
and
that's
people were
fair.
breaking up, so it's probably some of that stuff wasn't shown because
Mm.
they were like normal like family meetups. If they would have made it to the altar, I think we would have had more of that in there.
Would you
Uh,
want a longer season if it meant we got more of that footage?
if they released it all at once, I wouldn't want a longer season that released weekly.
Yeah, I
Like,
agree.
or if they did it in two drops, like here's first half, second half, and
Yeah.
here's the reunion.
Yeah, yeah, because I don't at least with this season I don't think I could tolerate much more than we actually got.
Yeah. Um, Yeah, we didn't talk much about Marissa this segment, but I'm sure we'll have to check in with her soon.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, Hannah and Nick.
And so we will have to talk about Marissa. I
What did you think of Hannah's apology? Let's start there.
apology.
Yes.
When did Hannah apologize?
For what?
No, I'm so serious. Did she say I'm sorry?
What did you think about Hannah's opening statement to Nick about her behavior?
Apology is stretching it to me. It, she was, I think, let's try that all over again. I think that you and I have talked about this before in terms of like pop psychology, where people start to use therapeutic terms and all of that, like outside of the context. I feel like that about Hannah saying, I'm direct, I'm direct, I'm direct.
Mm,
Like,
yes,
yeah,
agreed.
yes. I mean, technically you're direct, but like there's no couth there. Like there's no tact.
Uh, I totally agree with you. I think Hannah seems to me as one of those people that thinks naming the problem is the same thing as solving the
Solving the
problem.
problem.
Um,
T down, absolutely.
and certainly she kind of seems to have like gone into or maybe watched some videos about what therapy is and
That's crazy.
and has said,
Not
yeah,
therapy by osmosis.
no, yeah, and she thinks she's taking accountability by being like I'm direct without actually taking any accountability. Um,
No. And I
Nikki,
also, can I say, I don't know, somebody says, it might have been Nick who says this. I hate when people say, I'm taking accountability. I hate that. I don't know what it is, but it feels so fake to me. I don't think
I,
I've ever heard
I
somebody
don't
say
think
that
someone
sincerely.
said that. I think Ramses at one point tells Nick, "This is a time to be accountable." Pause for the cause. I got to take a call.
Yes.
Go ahead. No, I'm sorry.
Oh dear God, what was I
You're talking
saying?
about accountability.
Oh, I was just saying that I cannot stand when people keep saying like I'm taking accountability, I'm taking accountability. I don't know if it's just that I've never heard somebody say it sincerely, but I cannot stand that.
Hannah's call out of Nick for
What part?
for the diary and trying to use the show for
Mm,
fame and Marissa's subsequent like hop onto that. I want to start there.
Okay.
It's a total projection because, and I just want to say this: since
Ooh.
the show has begun airing, Hannah has been making TikToks about the show along with Marissa on a weekly basis.
Yeah.
Marissa had a cameo up on week one of the drop. Hannah
Oh.
Hannah has moved to LA and she has talent management now and has had talent
Uh,
management during the entire, like, girl, you quit your job to be on here talking about anybody. I don't for a second believe that anybody on that couch or on those couches never
mhm.
considered the possibility of monetizing or the monetize the monetization possibilities that could come from
Of
appearing on this show,
course.
even if it's not your main bag, even if it's not your main source of income, as an even if it was just as an additional source of income. But it seems like the people who were loudest about criticizing Nick for seeking some level of pseudo celebrity status are the ones who have been taking active steps since the beginning. And for Nick, I've seen a few of his TikToks. For the most part, he's making like TikToks at his real estate things, right? Like he's
Good
literally
for
just like
him.
he's like still just trying to sell houses, like
Good
he
for
said he was.
him.
Um, yeah, I think that I think like I didn't. I was really disappointed in Hannah. I think Hannah saw herself being villainized by the audience and then came to the reunion to prove to us that Nick was just as bad as she is or worse. And all she ends up proving is just how terrible, how even more terrible she is.
I mean, Marissa says that almost verbatim. She was just like, "Yeah, she was a bitch or something like that." But like, you were also bad. I think Marissa says some version of like everyone's like dumping on Hannah and pretending like you're just like this like golden retriever, golden boy, but like
Mm-hmm.
you're terrible too. It's like, oh,
And I don't think he is at all. And I don't think they said anything to prove that. Like,
I don't think so. I mean, maybe the grenade thing was bad, but like
I
it
don't think
was.
I don't think so. Like, and the only reason I say so is Hannah didn't know about that until after they broke up.
Oh, in terms of the factoring in of her behavior.
Yeah, and also
Yes.
here's why I say
Okay,
this.
perfect.
Here I say this. Hannah is not mistreating Nick because she believes he's not attracted to her or is making her feel like he's not attracted to her, right? I also don't think there's anything wrong with Nick confiding in his friends on the show and going, Hannah doesn't look like what I expected her to look like. I'm not as attracted to her, or et cetera, et cetera, or I don't think she's beautiful. And still actively attempting to like be in the process because that's the show. The show is Love is Blind, right?
Hmm.
And
Interesting.
most of the time when we watch the show and it's clear that one person isn't attracted to the other and they mistreat that person because of it, we go, the show is Love is Blind. If you wanted to get all of what you wanted physically, you should have went and met somebody that met all of those physical
Very
requirements.
fair. Very
You're
fair.
not giving this relationship a try. It seems like Nick was like came out of the pods, wasn't attracted to Hannah, and then still give it a try. The truth of the matter is whatever like disparaging things she said about his looks on camera, I'm talking about in confessional, in one on one with the production team, they fished for those comments. And chances are they were fishing with Nick as well, too. Right? They saw his reaction. They knew he was underwhelmed. We saw his reaction and he was underwhelmed. They were
Yeah,
definitely prodding him to say something disparaging about her. And if they had that footage, they would have aired it. They don't have
absolutely.
that footage of Nick. So
Very interesting concept
regardless
or
of how
thought.
Nick felt about her and what his body language was on, when he had the chance to disparage Hannah's looks publicly, he never did so. And he never did it to her either. He confided in his friends. And, not for nothing, sometimes that be the case. Like hey,
What
um,
a shame. What a
yeah,
shame.
I can't, I'm not upset at Nick at all. Like, you know,
Not really.
um, I'm not upset at Nick. I'm actually more upset at at Ramses and Steven. Just
Steven made me even. Oh, wait. Are we moving on?
well, not yet. I do want to talk about Marissa's defense of Hannah and the amount of energy that she had in defending Hannah.
And it's very interesting in the context of the TikTok you sent me of the was it the
Mm-hmm.
interview. Um, it looked
Yes.
like it was like ABC, like it was a real people interview.
Yeah. It was a news interview. She was on
With
the news.
a few cast members. Her
Nick was there. It was her and all the boys. Her,
There's
I
one
think.
woman.
Yeah, it was her, Alex and all of the
Brittany?
boys. Who?
That was Brittany.
Oh, maybe you're correct. It was a
I'm pretty sure it was
it was a white
Brittany.
blonde woman, but the only one I could think of was Hannah. And I was like, I know it wasn't Hannah, so Alex had
Yeah, I'm
blonde
pretty sure
hair.
it's Brittany because I remember what Katie looks like, because Katie is like large and statuesque, and this woman was not. I'm pretty sure it's Brittany.
Go ahead. What were you
But
gonna say?
I was saying in the context of that interview, I was even more, well, not confused, but I was
Yeah.
like,
What was it? What was the interview? What was the context?
oh, obviously. It was, at least the clip was somebody asking about like asking Marissa directly about her like defense of Hannah and their behavior at the
And
reunion.
talk about it because Marissa has been getting better questions from these little media appearances than Vanessa ever gave. The girl said, "Now, why were you defending Hannah so tough?"
Yes, and then Marissa says like something like we're not best friends, but we're like working through it.
On
And I was
God,
like,
on God, this is where I switched on Marissa. Like, because we watched the episode together, and I think I was still kind of like upset at Ramses, and I was like, you know, I can't really be invested. And I was upset at Marissa for behaving the way she did, but like watching this, like, and for additional context, Maddie, this reunion was filmed a week and a half ago.
oh,
This reunion was filmed, I think, right when the week that episode 12 aired. So that the cast,
okay.
right? So this was like at most 2 weeks ago, and Hannah is Marissa's best friend on the reunion, and they're no longer on speaking terms just 2 weeks later.
Whose fault do you think it is?
Who knows? I mean, didn't Marissa say on the reunion she's a bitch to me sometimes? She mistreats me too sometimes. We
Yes.
didn't even talk about that part of Marissa's mom going to Katie. She made you feel like shit for a whole year. I
Yes.
assumed that Marissa's mom was talking to Katie. She may have been talking about Marissa or both. Maybe she knows their whole little triangle group. Like
Well,
I
she
feel like
says it to Katie, and she says it
she
at
says it in
least.
a response to something Katie said, so she probably was talking to Katie.
Well, she says it, and yeah, because Katie and Hannah are talking to each other about the dust up that happened. Which, by the way,
And we didn't need to talk to Katie. We should have
well,
been
yes,
saved that to ask Tyler another question. But
but but I remain a little bit confused about that because are we saying that over the course of that year, Katie didn't understand what she did wrong, and Hannah just never told
I mean,
her?
I don't care. Like what it is, what it showcased to
A
me is
mess.
that Vanessa clearly thinks clearly it was a characterization of Hannah's like personality, right?
I see what you
Of
mean, like
Hannah's
as
like
Marissa's mom.
yeah, like of Hannah's like mean girl tendencies at Marissa's mom. I don't know because like I'm assuming whatever information Vanessa has, she probably got it from her daughter, right?
Exactly,
So
exactly.
she's viewing Hannah's behavior through her daughter, through the lens of like her daughter's friendship with Hannah, and it doesn't seem like Hannah is in any case a good friend from the people who are around the
Yes.
people who are supposedly she's supposedly friends with. But
Yeah.
I mean, I also feel like Marissa might be a bit of a mean girl because the way, like, how do you maintain a relationship with Hannah truthfully unless
But think about the Trump supporter situation. Like you said before, that Marissa thinks love conquers all, right? And I think that I think that
I think I'm trying to switch on that too. I do still think Marissa is naive and probably doesn't have like backbone. Um,
I think
but I
that's what it
also
is.
think there's a bit of her personality that is like she doesn't have that smoke for Ramses because she probably likes him and is still like
Yeah.
I think she jumped today if he said what's up. Um,
Oh, 100%.
um, I think she probably still has like feelings for him, so she doesn't have that smoke for him. I do
Yeah.
think her anger at Nick was misguided,
100%.
animosity like that she couldn't have for Ramses. But
Hmm.
I also just feel like she's a bit of a mean girl, and Hannah gives her that outlet too, right? Because I mean,
I
in
would,
any case,
yeah.
like if you're standing next to Hannah, you're gonna look better than than her.
You're gonna look better, but even if like Marissa herself is not a mean girl, her naivete, I don't even I feel like it's kind of getting letting her off the hook by saying naivete, but like
I mean,
her,
naivete is not good for a grown woman. Marissa's like 35.
well, yes. But it seems like she does a little bit of a chameleon thing where she wants to like match whatever environment that she is in.
Agreed.
And
Totally agreed.
yeah.
That's a really good
And
point.
so I think that even if she's like in a vacuum away from Hannah, I don't really think she's a mean girl, but because Hannah is a mean girl, she's
Yeah.
just like, this is what we're doing now. Like she's like, okay, like this is what we're doing now. And it's like, like, do we have
uh,
to?
yeah. Embarrassing for Marissa. Yeah, I don't like,
Embarrassing.
I mean, to sum it all up, I think Nick handled himself well. He wasn't prepared for the attack, and so
No.
he was a little like mush mouth. He could, like, if I was him, I would have stood on business. Like when she tried so hard to make this man look bad. Well, you didn't really think I was cute, and you thought I was a grenade. Yeah, the show is called Love Is Blind. I was trying to see if love was blind, and I did find myself attracted to you later on. Hence why we were sleeping together and doing this, that, and the third. Um,
Yes.
and oh well, I got girls texting me, babe, we broke up a year ago. Why? They're like, they're sending you the DMs to be messy. I don't care. I don't owe you an explanation
Yes.
for pursuing other women. Like that's stupid. Nothing she said really made him look bad. If he had a little bit more Tim energy, he would have
Oh
ate her
dear
up.
God.
Just a smidge. He just needed 2 drops of Tim. He would have ate her up. Like
I feel like
Tim would have
I would
chewed her
love
down.
to watch Tim and Hannah argue.
Tim
That
would have chewed her down. Like
would have been fantastic.
I can't believe it. Um,
What a mess.
are you ready to move on? You have anything else to say?
No, nothing. Well, I would just like to say that I think that Steven jumps on the opportunity also to paint Nick as a bad person, but for only
Yeah.
for his
Yeah,
own
I
reasons.
think Ramses too. Ramses was sitting there knowing how much people were hating him for breaking up with Marissa, who at that point had been the sweetheart of the show.
Yeah.
And he was like, bro, just be honest, bro. Just tell the truth, bro. Take accountability, bro.
Don't do accountability, bro. That's why we're here.
That's why we're here. That's why I wear my yellow pants. So people will know that I'm accountable.
Beetlejuice. Anyway.
That's why I have stars on my jacket and my thumb through my shirt because I'm accountable, bro.
Oh God, I hated the outfit even more. He looked like
I like his outfit. Like I think he has good like fashion instincts and he chooses great shapes for his body. I just think
I
the shirt
don't
was
like
too
the
much.
Zoot suit jacket. I don't. I'm sorry. They're really
It
short
looks
shoulder
good. Like
pads.
he's tall. It looks good on him. I like the accessories on it. I really just don't like the netted shirt. I think if he had just like if he had just worn a different shirt or even like a plain collared shirt of a solid color or even black, like he would have looked much better.
I would have preferred different pants, and then I would be perfectly fine. A
Um,
wide leg pant like Garrett's.
Garrett's
Correct.
pants made him look short. Like it made him look it
He
like
also was
it really made him. He looked like a ballroom dancer. Like he had flared bottoms and a boot.
very.
He had
He
that little
did.
boot on with a little heel. Like yeah,
Yeah, he
he
was having the
looked
best time of his life in his little heel.
yeah.
God, hoping he figures it
He
out.
looks lame as hell. Next we see Leo and Brittany. Thoughts here.
Oh, I don't like Leo. Like I remain in dislike of Leo. But I did not have as visceral of a response to him the second time around. I still do not think his apologies are sincere, but I don't think that he knows that they're not sincere. And also the food, uh, oh my God, what is that called?
Drink.
Metaphor.
Oh.
Um,
Oh yeah.
was even worse the second time around when he was like, and the food
The metaphor was bad for sure, yeah.
but the food has feelings. I was like, oh God, why would you say that?
Um I liked Leo in the reunion.
I know you
Like
do.
I think, huh?
I said, no, you do.
Oh, well, I'm not talking to you alone. I'm talking to the people who haven't heard this thought yet.
Thank you. Okay, for clarifying how audiences work. I appreciate that.
Um, no, I like Leo on the reunion. I think he came off like less neurotic, um, less sociopathic, and like
Less
much
sociopathic.
and much more likable. I didn't mind anything he said. Wait,
There's nothing really
I
to
lost my
say.
huh?
There's nothing really to say.
No, I lost my like I like Leo. I have positive things to say about Leo. I keep losing my train of thought. I have really positive things to say about Leo. Actually, I think he handled like the criticism really well. Part of it is also too that I have seen him on TikTok. Leo has a blue check on TikTok now, so I remember seeing
Oh,
him posting TikToks pretty much since like the first batch of episodes dropped, and I was like skipping them all the time. I was like, this guy's so annoying. Um, and he was like trying to like clarify some of the things he said. I was skipping all of them, but he's been posting like funny TikToks, posting fun at himself. I do think it's a little like it's a little like icky, especially because he made such a point of being like, I'm not here for social media fame. And like, you haven't stopped posting about this show since it's been airing and you got a blue check mark now. And I wouldn't be surprised if you got a brand deal coming down the pipeline soon. Like, I'm pretty sure he
yeah.
already has one for some sort of like art thing. Um, but no, I thought he came off like really likable. I feel less. I thought when I first heard his apology, it sounded to me that he was apologizing largely because he knew that he needed to say something there, which I don't always think is a bad reason to apologize. I think if you know that like people are waiting to give you an apology and you're interested in mending those relationships to some capacity, I think an
Yeah.
insincere apology is better than no apology. I'll be honest,
Yeah, and
depending on the context and circumstance.
also to be, I don't know why I didn't think about this before, but because this is really a year later and he and Brittany are friends, like they've
That's what I
clearly
was
already
gonna.
talked about
Well, what I was
this.
gonna say is that he probably has spoken to all of these people, including Hannah, and
Yeah.
has given them more insight and found like some sort of resolution to those relationships anyway. But he
Yeah.
knows he has to do this now for the international Netflix audience.
Yeah.
And I think that if it could come off insincere from that aspect too, because it's just
For
not
sure.
fresh. Like it's not fresh. He's
Yeah.
not feeling the whatever point he had to get to realize he was wrong, like he's probably moved past that point emotionally now and he's like
Yeah.
remembering for an apology. So
I
like
mean, he says him and Brittany talk literally every day.
I don't
So
know if I believe that actually. Like on second watch,
really,
I think they're capping. Like when they're talking about how close they are, and well, maybe I don't see what reason they'd have to lie about talking every day. But when like
yeah.
I don't think they're like friends. Like honestly, when she was like talking, I was like, is Leo just like trying to be her friend to wait until a moment of weakness where he where
Oh, ooh.
he can get with her? Like when we were watching it, I thought that, but then I was like, who knows?
I
Um,
actually really do. I really think that they are friends.
I
Like
mean,
I
if they are,
think.
it'd be a good thing. But
I mean, I don't know if it's a good thing or not, but like I feel like they were serious about that.
no, my thoughts were Brittany's like, I gotta keep a few friends with a bag, because
And who would blame her?
or Leo's like, I gotta keep a few friends who might get broken up with by a rock star real soon and need a shoulder to cry on.
Crazy.
Like I literally was like, they're both exploiting each other
But in
for
that
their
way,
own
are they not
personal.
perfect for each other as
I've always
friends?
said that they were perfect for each other. Like I've always said that.
Yes.
And you were like, she's too good for him. I was like, no, like that's her
That's
type.
fine. That's fine.
That's her type for a reason.
Yeah.
No, I thought he came off like really likable. I think like since maybe because I was so removed from like episode 4 that I was just like, yeah, like he's not taking himself too seriously. He's laughing a little bit. Tim really likes him, if that means anything. um,
Tim was like, he's a
and
high thinker. He's a high level thinker. I was like, what does that mean?
I think he means about art and Rolexes. Like I think he was specifically talking about Leo's knowledge to in regards to art.
Well, okay, fair enough.
Um, yeah, people are complex, Leo
Yes.
included. Good for him. Next, Stephen and Monica.
I hated Steven even more on the second watch.
Yeah,
Like he makes me viscerally uncomfortable at this point in stage. He makes me viscerally uncomfortable at this stage.
yeah. Why?
Yeah, like I just it seemed even like his whole like woe is me act seemed even faker, even worse, like even like made me even more uncomfortable upon a second watch. It just like nothing about it seems real, like absolutely nothing. Even like at some point in time, something about meat. Do you remember what I'm talking about when
It was like a little. Was it a joke where um was it when Leo was talking about food and he was like something something I'm the meat
yes.
because he said that on the show?
Yeah, and it was like not prompted by because Nick and Vanessa Lachey have all of their like terrible puns that somebody's written for them, but like that doesn't seem to be what's happening. Steven just kind of like draws attention to himself at random, and it just made me so everything about
I
him
mean,
made me so uncomfortable.
I think Steven knows how much people have disliked him. I think he's even like talked about this a bit, but I've only seen two TikTok of his from his personal account that hit my For You page. And in both of them, he was literally acting like a 20-year-old frat boy, like a pledge. And so I just
In
haven't
what
paid
way?
like just like personality. Like I think
Oh,
one
okay.
one he's at like a construction site and he's just being like silly goofy, but it's like you're too old. Also, all these men are here working to feed
Oh,
their
not in
families.
the
Like,
context of the show, just like his natural
oh
self.
yeah, no, himself. Like the TikToks that
Oh,
he's posted on his
ooh.
personal account have been like I'm so like his humor is very like Seth Rogen movie. So
Mm.
I've been like, let me fix your face. It's not that bad. like
Oh,
like
I
it's not
just don't
that
like
serious.
them.
It's not
Yeah.
that serious. But I've seen that and I just like haven't wanted to see any more of him. But I do know he like talked about this at some points. I just don't remember because again, it was Steven talking. On the
Oh.
reunion, I will say I was really disappointed that they didn't press him harder about what was in the text message and that they didn't really
Oh,
make
yeah.
him like talk about it, right? Like he was able to just kind of go, well, nobody wants to hear my side of the story. And I was like, no, that's why we're literally here. Tell us your side and then we'll still judge you, but at least we'll be judging you on what the facts are and not what we're imagining them to be. I think his whole like premise of I started talking to someone that I don't barely talk to, that was the first time we spoke, which Monica said was a lie. And
Yeah.
we went from talking about medical conditions to kink, and I just didn't delete the messages because I had conquered a demon. I was like, no, you didn't delete the messages because you didn't think Monica was going to go through your phone and you plan to get back to that conversation. Like, let's be real. Um,
Ugh,
yeah,
it's just gross. And like everything about it is gross and not in any sort of like high-handed way, but he just seems utterly unapologetic, sincerely unapologetic.
yeah, I would
And
agree with
it's
that.
ugh, everything about it is weird. Also, I think, well, of course, I don't know anything about the person he was having the conversation with via Instagram, but I also just feel like that was like his behavior, even with like in that moment, is weird.
I just,
Like,
I mean, I don't even really, I don't. He says she brings it up, so I don't know that it's his problem.
but like, why were you talking to her to begin with? Like, you're at a sleep study and you don't know this.
Because somebody hit him up. His premise is that somebody that he doesn't really have a relationship with or doesn't like know or talk to hit him up and they go, I don't really care much about that. Like I don't want to like speculate about all of that. What I do
Nasty.
want to say is that in his apology on the reunion or in his like attempt to like, I know I did wrong, I'm working on myself, I thought like that was the worst part of it. Like I don't like I'm sure he is sorry because he lost a relationship over this. Like at the very least, I don't think he
Hmm.
would like intended to lose Monica over this. So he probably is regretting that. I just thought that like his like how aloof he seemed on the reunion really
Hmm.
doesn't like bode well for any judgments about his character. Um
No, 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 no,
I
no.
hated the way he employed like his quote unquote like self work or self healing journey. Um,
I've read books. I go to therapy.
to just kind of to absolve himself of actually taking accountability. Like when I say that people don't understand what accountability is, I think it's usually stuff like this where people will kind of just go, "Oh, I've done something. I've done these things," and will assign those things under the umbrella of accountability, rather than being like, I was wrong. I shouldn't have done it. I wish I hadn't. I mean, he's taken accountability in one way. He lost his relationship. That's his accountability there too. But
That is an absolute natural
I don't know.
consequence.
It is what it is with her.
Any thoughts on Monica herself?
I thought Monica looked gorgeous. America apparently Monica got a new man. So
Oh,
Monica posted about a new man. I think I learned about this on Friday or Saturday, and I woke up this morning to an expose about Monica's new man being being like an absolute creep.
God damn it. What the hell?
Like they don't play. And I was just like, I'm not even gonna talk about it because he's not on the show. She's no longer on the show. I don't care. But Yeah, like
That is
soon
insane
soon
behavior.
come, soon go.
Well, yeah.
You want to move on or you have anything else?
No, I think that's it for those two.
Timothy and Alex.
Oh, a mess. Well, they clearly, I think we no, we find out, or they say to us that they haven't spoken to each other in a year, like up until that
Yeah.
point.
This is what beef
Um,
looks like. This is
this exactly, this is what genuine beef looks
where
like. I think
they saw each other and got to throwing hands immediately.
immediately. What are I mean, I don't like Tim. I actually am completely team. I don't, was I ever not team Alex? You got it. I don't know.
I don't know.
Um, I think I had like one problem with
I
her at
think
one point.
everyone on the cast had faults at some point, and mostly
True.
Alex's main fault was just that I don't think she ever really liked him. Like, I think she met
I
him.
don't either.
I think she met him and was instantly put off by his personality and continued to be put off by his personality throughout the honeymoon. I think the reason why he probably wouldn't let her get in those spaces because he was feeling that irritation and was like, oh, this is definitely about me, ain't it? But
Yeah.
that all being said, I just like I I pretty much didn't like Tim instantly from when I saw him on the show. I didn't like the way he used his grief to make a connection. It never felt like their relationship was built on anything that was going to sustain them like long term anyway. And I think he presented himself even in the pods as like quite combative and argumentative, despite the fact that he kept saying that like I never get angry, I never fight, I never argue. I was like, no, I feel like you argue a lot. Like the way he kept cutting her off. Again, I'll say
Ugh.
if this fight was any indication of how that fight in the bathroom looked,
Mm-hmm.
I see why it was such a big blow up for them.
Absolutely.
And they really shouldn't have been together much longer past that
No,
anyway.
no.
Like the way like would literally talk for minutes and then Alex would say two sentences and he would interrupt her and then go to her like, "Hey, I'm talking." Like it's
Yeah.
like, "Yeah, she's responding to the first thing
To
you
the
said."
point
And
in the reunion where Brittany, who's sitting next to Alex at this point
yeah.
in time, is like, no, like you're being weird. Like you are like laughing at things that she's saying. You're cutting her off. Like you are being strange.
Yeah, you're being rude.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean Tim just gave combative and argumentative the entire time, and
Yeah.
I think that like I don't. I mean, he had a little comment about y'all, and I criticized them at some point early in the season about that. Like he's not looking for a a woman with particular qualities. He's going, I have these qualities that I'm going to dictate into a woman. I just need somebody to
Yeah.
come in and fill the role. Um,
And I still think he's looking for a replacement sister, right? When he says that
I
actually.
mean, partially, yeah, for sure. Like, yeah, I don't know.
What it was an absolute mess. I mean, yes, Alex was wrong for putting her hand on his mouth. But they
Apparently, she
it
never touched him. She went on a pod and she said she covered his mouth.
oh, like she never
Yeah,
physically
because
okay.
I we spoke about that a lot on our first watch, and we were like, yeah, like in any case, don't put your hands on people. But like, she just said she like put a hand up to his mouth to like insinuate that like, I need you like to
Hey,
block
like
the
I need you
sound.
shush.
And again, like I said, Tim is very specific in the points that he wants to adjudicate because
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and that all seems very that always seemed manipulative to me, but it goes back to the point of like the way that he argues and how argumentative he is. He's like when he was like made a point to be like, you were out the night before about the parents, and she's like, no, I wasn't, like we were at dinner. And and he repeats it several times, like, so this whole fight, this every time he speaks about it, he's very specific about what instances
Yeah.
of offense like his grievances are, and he does not stick to those points. He only questions her, and anytime she brings a counterpoint outside of those narratives, he brings it right back. You call me out of my name, put a hand
Yep.
over my mouth. You call me out of my name, you covered my mouth. And to find out
You slept when
which,
my parents were there.
yeah, you slept when my parents were there without the context of your parents arrived at 11 o'clock I went and took a nap at 8 p.m. or 7 p.m. or
7
whatever.
p.m.
And I had to, and not even just I took a nap at 7 p.m. I had to go to work at 9 p.m. So
Yes.
the fact that he never mentions that too at any point, and like he's very specific in like how he wants to like um
Mm-hmm.
engage in these arguments, and largely because he doesn't really have much of a point. Like I think Tim
No.
is the sort of man that like thinks that I don't know what he thinks respect is, but it just sort of seems like for him respect means suppressing yourself and never having any
Mm-hmm.
never being contrarian to whatever his like
Yes.
ideal progression is.
Like obedient in
Yeah.
a kind of blank slate kind of way,
Yeah.
and which is not who Alex is, right, at all, which is interesting
I
to
think
me
he would
because
I think he would struggle with even the quote unquote like submissive, because this is like if you literally like when he's in the wrong, like he literally will not take any sort of accountability or any sort of ownership. I don't want to say accountability, any sort of ownership for, his parts and
yeah.
his pieces. Um
No, I agree. I don't think there would be a person blank slate enough for him to feel comfortable enough to make any changes internally for himself, right? Like he does not want to be in the wrong at all
yeah.
ever,
Yeah.
and is completely without the conflict resolution skills to deal with
Yeah.
being in the wrong internally and externally. And so there is not up to like a robot, I guess. Like he could literally never find that in a person because that's just not how people are.
Yeah,
But he doesn't have any interest in being different. So,
I believe that since that fight in the bathroom,
mm,
he was out, and he just needed he just needed a he just needed a reason to like,
yes. I mean, I
and
talked
that
about
nap
this.
that nap was enough, which is why he never gave us any context or whatever. Because like truthfully, I don't think she did anything wrong there. I've been with your parents
No,
from 11. That's a full shift of work, and then to take on a 1 hour nap and go into another shift of work. No, you're wilding.
till 3 a.m.
You're wilding.
Bartending, which is not a passive job.
Yeah.
Mm, I don't like him. Alex also looks beautiful. Everyone's titties were
I
sitting
didn't
so
I
beautifully.
didn't like Alex nor Brittany's dresses.
I
Or Hannah. I thought
don't.
Hannah was the worst dress, but I didn't like Alex nor Brittany.
Ooh, you thought Hannah was the worst dress.
Yeah, I
I
hated
think
that little two-piece number.
I think Brittany's the worst dress for me.
Oh, I mean, yeah, probably. I mean, I just hated the two-piece number.
I think it's just the tans we had
Brittany's
a
no,
and
Brittany's boobs look fresh. She looked like she should have been laid up in a
I
hotel room
said
feeling.
that. I feel like she's had a boob job.
I mean, no, it's not that she's had a boob job. It's that it looks like she just got off of the table and needs to
Oh
be
my
in a
God.
hotel room resting somewhere. Like,
Relaxing.
yeah, for real.
Do
It
you think
like
Leo paid for it?
the boob. I don't know. I can't be sure. I don't think the boob job has marinated enough yet for her to have to have them things out.
You're right. They do not move.
um, yeah, I thought I thought Marissa was the best dressed. I thought Marissa looked the best. Although by the end,
That humidity got to her.
yeah, under them lights, her hair started poofing up a little bit, but her makeup, her dress, beautiful. Monica looked great. Ashley and Taylor just looked kind of meh to me. They were
I
on
loved Ashley's dress.
the spiders.
Oh, I love the spiders.
They were. I
I
mean, they
wish she
were on
was
theme with their men, but like,
I wish she had a blunter haircut and she loves a deep side part.
her hair always looks amazing. Her hair looked amazing here. Her dress, like I just didn't like, and also the way they were sitting on her like breasts as well too, like the
The
cleavage,
spiders or the like the
the cut.
yeah, the cut seemed a little bit tight on her chest.
Yeah. Um, yeah, I probably needed to be taken out a bit. But I do love a little matching moment between her and Tyler. I thought Tyler had the best suit.
Oh,
Um,
100% yes.
and he looked the best. He was the best dressed, I should say, of the guys there.
Absolutely. With very little competition.
With very little competition on stage. He was better dressed than Nicholas.
Hmm.
I mean Nicholas Lachey, I should say.
Oh, I was assuming whatever Nicholas you were talking about, the answer was still yes.
Anything else?
Is that all of our couples?
Yeah, this is basically the reunion. There's nothing
Oh, yeah.
else. I mean, we check in with the people from Minneapolis for next season,
Which I
dropping
did not
season
like.
8 in February.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Love on
that's
the
all for
spectrum.
the reunion, I guess. This was a much shorter filming session than the first one.
Oh, God, Lord. Yes, we were yapping. Well, I was yapping.
All right. Well, thank you guys for joining us for our reunion recap of Love is Blind season 7. We'll see
Hmm.
you in February for season 8.
Lord
um,
is right around the corner.
and please check out our coverage of the entire season in the playlist that will be listed below in the description box. And as always, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share. Thank
Thank you,
you.
guys.